maybe I should try to like plan a graceful retirement. And then there are days where I'm like, they're gonna have to drag me off the field. Like there's no like leaving this sport.
I am one of the few, I think, in the world that can say that my job is to teach ultimate and coach.
I think for me, what drives me back to the sport is the community. After college, my main friend group was just the people I was playing with. Even when we're not playing anymore, I feel like we're so close, and I feel like it's similar in club or even rec leagues. I think the people can be really great.
Yeah, what I like about this sport is that I feel that like my team is way more a family than just a team of people playing together the same sport. So I would say to the community draws me back every time, but my team most of all just keeps me going and keeps me there. I mean, mentally. Sometimes I want to just say, okay, I'm just gonna slowly go away from the ultimate Frisbee, but every time I train, every time I go to a tournament with my team, I'm like, I can't leave these guys. They need me, I need them. So I think my team is what really drives me to push forward and to keep going, even though, we all have the same struggle from time to time when we play the sport.
I don't know, my answer might be a little bit, hopefully it's not too long-winded, but it's twofold. Because actually my first encounter with Ultimate Frisbee, I was pretty set that I was gonna leave. So it was a sport that one of my lab mates had tried to get me to play for a year, and I just kept brushing her off. And then when my shoulder injury happened from volleyball, I decided to give it a try. And I couldn't throw to save my life, but it turns out I could catch. And like the very first practice, I had like a layout catch, and everybody went crazy, and it felt really good. And then afterwards, I didn't even have cleats, but afterwards when we were taking our cleats off and stuff, somebody asked me if I'd ever played before because she thought I was good. And before I could even answer, somebody else interjected and was like, it's called genetics. And so that was like my first introduction to Ultimate Frisbee was racism. And so I quietly gathered my things and was on the phone with my mom before I even got back to my car. And I was like, I hate this so much. It was so shitty. I don't want to do this anymore. And she kind of grounded me and asked me if I had fun. And I said, yes. And she asked me if I thought it was some place where I could have a competitive outlet because I had been playing sports since I was 5 years old and I was 22 with no more sports. And I said yes. And she told me to give it another shot. And so I think what kept me from leaving that day was the potential for the competition because that was something that I was missing. And for the first time, I'd played a lot of sports growing up, volleyball, basketball, track, swimming. And besides volleyball, the other sports were my parents. And then volleyball was something that they wanted to put me in and I excelled at. But Frisbee was the first thing that I found out on my own and excelled at. So that's what brought me back that very first day. And I think what keeps me is now the community that I've found, which is very similar, that keeps me rooted, that gives me an outlet, more for just like the physical stress relief, but also the mental and emotional stress relief as well. So I'm pretty grateful.
During the pandemic, I felt like I might need a break from Ultimate. I was feeling super burnt out. The 2019 club season just like didn't go that well for me personally. And, I had some issues for a while with my own like confidence and the way that I saw myself as a player. And so, like we all took time off, obviously. And then I wasn't sure if it was going to be like I was going to be ready to get back to it when like it was, starting to be over, or we at least started to get to go back to it. And then we just like the Radiants had some pickup games like just to start, and like getting back out there was just like all joy for me. And like getting to connect with my body like that and getting to see all the community members that are like so important to, you know, all of us, it felt really good. And I started to be able to kind of let go of some of those more like mental blocks and, you know, issues I was having personally. And I was able to like rely on my team and just find the love again for like the sport itself and like the people that I was around. That was kind of what brought me back. I hope I'm still playing in 5 years.
Same.
I feel like, you know, there's sometimes when I think about the future, I'm like, you know, maybe I should try to like plan a graceful retirement. And then there are days where I'm like, they're going to have to drag me off the field. Like there's no like leaving this sport. But, you know, I think part of it for me personally is like, just like being able to stay on top of my like physical health, making sure that like, you know, I just tore my ACL, like being able to just like rehab and get back into the sport is going to be like a challenge enough, but hopefully I'll be able to continue and like get healthy again and be able to have some kind of longevity. But I don't know, it's like, it's kind of hard, like when like Ultimate is so like now focused, I feel like you're in your season with your team, you're working on this goal that's like coming up in a couple months. So I feel like for me, you know, I've been more focused on like what's like coming up in the near future rather than like the long future.
I also hope I'm playing in 5 years. If I have it my way, I'll play until my body doesn't allow me to anymore. I think in addition to loving the community, just like the hunger for like going deep and getting a disc or like playing defense, and I think it's something I've been drawn to my whole life, so I don't think it would be easy for me to leave. I think in the next 5 years, you know, you reach a physical peak, and I think being on a team that's going to help you reach your capacity in like how smart you're playing, your physical ability, your Frisbee IQ. I think settling there and growing as much as I can over the next 5 years to see where, you know, making teams that are like world teams and stuff like that is like the next goal, I guess. But other than that, I'm just happy to play Elite Ultimate for as long as I can. So yeah,
I don't know. I think it's start with the same, that I hope I'm still playing in 5 years. I think it's been given that the wheels of this wagon have fallen off multiple times, we've put them back on with glue and duct tape, and we're just going to ride it until the wheels fall off again. But I think that above all, I really am a team first player. So the day that I can't fulfill my assignment, whatever that role is, whatever on-field and off-field role is that I have to support the team, the day that I feel like I can't continue to do that, it would be really hard for me to continue to be a teammate and feel as though I'm a liability. Maybe that's a strong word because you can always support your team in non-player roles. But I also feel like for the first time, so played a lot of sports in my life, and especially when it came to volleyball, my mom and some other coaches always wanted me to coach. And I never said I would because it's so hard for me to be on the sidelines and try to tell a player what to do when it's like, here, just step aside, and then I'll show you how to do it. You can't really do that in a game. But I think with Ultimate, I could see myself for the first time in like my sports life transitioning into a coaching role, whether that's like probably a supporting role, because I don't know that I would be the type of head coach that many Ultimate teams would like, because maybe this gets into this idea of like where I want to see this sport go, because I have been exposed to every single type of coach in the book, from super, super soft and lenient and uninvolved to completely hard and borderline abusive and everywhere in between. And I know the type of coach I know the balance that I would like to strike, and I still feel like that is maybe we're not quite there yet as a sport for the expectations that I would have, and the commitment that I would give, and the commitment that I would expect. So maybe in 5 years I'm still playing if my body allows, but if not, I still hope that I'm involved in the community to whatever degree I can still be a positive force for good?
To me, the next 5 years will be really important because ultimate life and work life will become something more real, more concrete to do and to practice both ways. So I'm also happy because my choices of study will help me to stay close to ultimate, nonetheless, even if I don't play. So in the next 5 years, I will be playing, I think, my last Worlds if I'm lucky enough to be part of CUSB as a team qualified for Worlds. And yeah, I hope we will have the chance because you never know. In Italy, we give for granted. We will give this elite level way more for granted because we're such a few players that you already know you're probably gonna be qualified, probably you'll be selected or whatever. I think you have way more appreciation of the elite level because you face way more time, real opponents, real intensity ultimate, and you have way more tournaments and championships than us. But yeah, after my last World, I would love to finish my osteopathic studies and become the osteopath for next 20 years of every national team or every Olympic team if that happens. And so I already made my peace with myself about that. When I won't be able to play, like you said, when I won't be useful to the team anymore, I don't want to drag myself and to drag the others with me. I want to just to let them be, and I hope I left them as much as I can, and then help them from outside. I don't think coaching. I like coaching, but I don't think I would be that good at coaching because I'm a bit more chaotic and active.
You can be a great assistant coach.
Yeah, that's true. I can be your assistant.
Okay.
But being the osteopath of a team would be just amazing because putting them back to work in a good shape, that would be amazing. To see them running faster just because I have them be healthier, that would be lovely to me.
I think that it's for me, and I think for a lot of us, ultimate is just it infiltrates every part of my life, and I just can't imagine fully letting it go. And it's nice to get to think about the ways that you can continue to give back, even if it's not on the field, coaching and being a team doctor, basically. That's awesome to think about. And I just we've talked about some of the ways in which there's a lot of problems, you've experienced racism, there's clearly racism and sexism and other issues, but it's given so much to me, and I feel I can help continue the sport and hopefully improve it as it goes along to make it not only give what it's given to me to other people, but make it better for the next generation of people and continue to expand it. And so yeah, I just whatever role that takes, I can't let go of that feeling of what it's given to me over the years. I think that the biggest thing that holds back the growth of Ultimate right now is coaching. The youth level is exploding, and literally we just don't have enough coaches to keep up with the growth that is happening.
Yeah.
And one thing that's happened with Triangle Ultimate is that they've started to pay coaches.
Yeah.
And it's not that much, but it's enough to just keep people around enough and keep consistency so that we're able to keep up a little bit with that growth. And I think that starting with the youth is a really good place to continue, and being able to actually invest in not only it's been great to have really passionate volunteers, and obviously that's what's driven our sport mostly for the past however many years, but being able to invest in training coaches and also paying them to keep them is important.
At least
for
gas
sustainability.
money,
Yeah.
time, at least the bare minimum.
Yeah. And I would love to hear what your experience is, because
Yeah.
clearly that's been a big thing for you.
Yeah, and I am one of the few, I think, in the world I can say that my job is to teach ultimate and coach. That's it. That's my job. My part-time job. It's a job, not so part-time sometimes, but it's incredible because I'm doing this job and my club is doing step by step what it needs to do to be able to offer like almost a professional setting to the players and a coach, and at the same time a player. And when I'm a player, I realize that it takes a lot of effort for us, financially speaking, but still, we don't have the kind of environment around us so that we have big sponsor or big owners. And that's okay. I mean, we all have to do sacrifice to be able to pay someone to put the time in to be the best for us. So for example, for this season, we had a whole staff paid to come here. So we paid flight, they paid the hotel for them. They didn't pay anything about the tournament, but they put in the hours throughout the whole year, the whole 12 months prior to book. And we got the gym guy that was following us in the gym, outside the gym, in the field. We got one more technical coach and one more mindful coach about the psychology of the team. And I think even though player would like to be paid, so far the sport doesn't allow it, and we just have to make peace with that and just do whatever it takes to be the most professional we can. And that means having a good staff and paying the staff, because I've been underpaid coaching and it doesn't really help you, because I realized that maybe I did the wrong thing more than the bad thing, but I wasn't motivated to do it because I felt like I was wasting my time because it wasn't enough. I mean, I was putting too much hours for what I would get from that. And so I think that's important too. You need to be fair, even though it's a minor sport in Italy a lot, but you need to be able to at least make understand to the staff, to the coaches or whatever, that they're valuable to the club, they're valuable to the team, and you can feel the difference. I mean, 4 years ago, we didn't have that kind of staff. We arrived 9th. Lecco, we were just a bunch of guys walking around, 16th. This year, casually, staff paid, everything was really professional. The jerseys were from the club, I didn't have to pay them. 5th. So maybe things are going the right way, but I still think there's a lot to do.
I think that coming to practice with an intention and a mutual respect, that your coach is there to give services, and in turn you are, taking that for all that you can and taking advantage of that because it is a limited time. And again, my context is college ultimate, and couched in UCSB, which is not a bad team at the moment, but still we have volunteer coaches. Like maybe they get their gas reimbursed going to tournaments and that's it. So it takes a whole heck of a lot of dedication to commit to nationals every year, as well as the tournaments up in the Pacific Northwest and the other tournaments that we go to. But I would love to see, I think, not just asking the outside world to give validation to the sport, but that sort of internal validation that I'm going to show up and I want to do this thing with intention because I care about it, or because it's a nice physical stress outlet. You don't have to be the star player on a team. You might be a role player, you might be super new and developmental, but you're coming with an intention that you're gonna learn and you're gonna have this opportunity that is finite, and that your coach actually has things to give you, that for me, not to spaghetti fork and take the conversation elsewhere, has more life lessons packed into it inherently than just the on-field, off-field, how do you get good at ultimate.
In Italy, we have still this super hard idea that Frisbee is a beach 2-person toy. It comes from the 80s and it's just something fun. You do like
leisure sports.
Yeah,
it was
leisure.
literally a part of my high school's leisure sports club.
Okay, you see that's the etiquette they gave us, and it's tough to take it away from the one that doesn't play, that don't practice it, that never tried it. Because when I coached in high school, obviously not all of a class of 20. Probably 1 or 2 will come and try or do something more, but the other 18, 19 people we'll just leave it there. But still, many of them will say to me, girls and boys, I would love to watch it if it was easier. I would love to watch it. Where do you play? Where do you play your championship game? And I'm like, sorry, we don't play championship game every Sunday like soccer championship. We just play once in a month, maybe in Bologna, maybe in Parma, maybe in Milano. So it's tough to help the public see us, to appreciate us when there are this topic of planning that don't consider the public, but just are out there to help us, obviously, to contain the expenses, contain whatever we have to do, like the efforts. So we all gather in the same place, play 2 days in a row, 4 games, 3 games, because we cannot travel around all month, all Sundays, all Saturdays, like a football championship, NFL, or baseball. So that's a problem. We need to be able to intertwine the necessity of the players and the team and the necessity for wider and more broad public brought to the fields. I think that would help us a lot.
And I think that what we need in order to be able to broadcast it more is money. And if we'll take soccer, for example, which is obviously one of the most popular sports in the world and one of the, has had an explosion in the US, especially on the girls' side. Like, the way that we can kind of generate revenue as well as grow the sport as a whole at for skill-wise and population-wise is by attacking the youth level. Because if you create viable youth leagues, parents pay for their kids to go out and have a good time, and that hits at 2 things that would be really important. And then if we're able to like generate that revenue, then we can reinvest it back into the sport, into the ways that make us more visible. And I think that that's like really important.
It's coming true, right? We got it there.
We can get a little of both. We'll get a
little both, but yeah, I think that if you just grow youth that know the sports, then maybe they'll go like in a sleepover and watch a game if it's broadcasted. So
yeah,
it's kind of both.
Yeah, there you go.